Hello, clever people, and welcome to my review for The Possession of Hannah Grace. So The Possession of Hannah Grace is another possession movie coming out that stars a no-name actress woman directed by a no-name person that just follows the story of a teenage woman who is overcome by mental illness and is possessed by a spirit. And it also follows an old woman, or not an old woman, like a 30-year-old woman working at a morgue for dead people. And when the dead body of the teenager comes in, some really weird stuff starts happening, and the woman working at the morgue starts to see weird stuff, and then soon enough it becomes a possession horror movie. The Possession of Hannah Grace is not a movie I had heard about probably like 3 weeks ago. I didn't know that it existed until it just came out. And I had no expectations really going in. I knew that usually on dead weekends like November 30th was, or weekends like December 7th was, usually they like to release a small budget, no-name horror movie, and that makes its money back on opening weekend in budget. And usually those movies I just ignore. Sometimes they're really, really awful. A lot of the times they can be really, really awful. But The Possession of Hannah Grace is not one that's really, really awful. This movie's still bad. It's not good at all. But it's fine. It's just a useless waste of a movie. The one thing that I can say that's positive about The Possession of Hannah Grace is that I was never bored. Now, I don't think I was always entertained. There's a weird fine line, a weird middle space in between bored and entertained, where you're just watching a movie and you're not particularly entertained or bored. And it's a really, really weird feeling, and it's not one I can fully describe. I wish there were a word for it. But this movie gave me a lot of that. It was a lot of, I'm not entirely bored, I'm not really entertained, I'm just watching a movie with a creepy teenage girl and a grown older woman. And the other thing that I liked was their attempts to add in some commentary about mental illness. I like that they tried to do that. I don't think that it worked out really well, but honestly, I feel like a lot of this movie, they at least tried on. I'd say that's the biggest difference between this movie and a lot of other useless horror movies like this. They did try a little bit, and I felt like they tried more towards the beginning, and towards as it went on later, they tried less and less, but at least they put in a little bit of effort. But I feel like this movie does show some of its incompetent moments, and I think a lot of that comes into editing. There's a lot of really weird editing choices. There's a lot of weird places where characters just stay in one place for a while just to show something, and there's a lot of really weird editing in terms of the horror that doesn't really work. Also, I think the worst thing is just that this movie is completely forgettable. There's nothing original about it in any way. It's just a useless possession movie, and it wasn't too offensive while I was watching it, but afterwards, it's not like I'm ever going to talk about this movie again. It's not like I'm ever going to see this movie again. This was just simply a useless little dumb horror movie that's gonna end up at Walmart's $3 DVD bin. It's that type of movie, and I don't think that this movie was particularly bad. I wouldn't bash on it. I wouldn't say that The Possession of Hannah Grace is a movie no one should see. I just say it was kind of a waste of time. I will give The Possession of Hannah Grace a 4 out of 10. Alright, that concludes my review for The Possession of Hannah Grace. So, what are your thoughts on this film, or what's your favorite B-list horror movie? Comment in the comment section below and let me know. I'm Robert Burke, and this has been The Clever Critics. Goodbye.